biggest problem with Overwatch at the moment is the generally sluggish release schedule for new content. What was once a pretty steady stream has dwindled into a monotony of recycled events, delayed or outright skipped over map additions, and hero releases that seem farther apart than ever as the game has evolved and demands far more options than are currently available. But one of the biggest things holding Overwatch back is the lack of fresh new game modes in which to play, and what game modes the game does offer are needlessly restricted. In this video I'll go over the problems with the way the game currently segregates its content, and how Blizzard can improve the variety of the play experience without even adding anything at all. That said, they probably still should, add stuff. Hopefully sooner rather than later. The way the game works now, I'm sure we're all familiar. You got your quick play, your competitive ladder, your arcade, and your custom games. There's also versus AI if you're a fucking scrub and don't mind playing a mode they haven't updated in 2 years that really wasn't even finished to begin with. Whatever. This video is mostly going to be ignoring competitive, as the issues with competitive are just a whole other fucking discussion altogether. Quick play at the moment is basically just comp light without match time and where maps are played to the end. It's basically the casual, unranked alternative to comp and utilizes the same map types and game modes as competitive. It's fine for what it is, though I have some ideas on how to improve it. The arcade is the main focus of this video because the way it offers content to the player is outdated and restrictive. Currently, the arcade consists of 5 tabs, offering 5 different game modes or variations of game modes. 3 of these tabs rotate modes on a weekly basis, 1 rotates on a daily basis, and fucking Mystery Heroes gets to have a dedicated slot because the community, for whatever fucking reason, threw a hissy fit whenever it wasn't available. And as much as I don't understand the passion for a mode where whoever gets a decent team composition or string of ultimates first gets to steamroll the rest of the match, the outrage at its temporary removal speaks volumes about what the community really wants and what Blizzard refuses to give. Players want to play whatever game mode the game offers, whenever they want. Blizzard has stated that the reason for the current rotational arcade format is because they don't want to split the queue in too many different directions, and risk longer waiting times to get into a match. But the obvious rebuttal to this stance is that players are going to be willing to wait longer for match types that they actually want to play, and their solution to pacify the player base was to add custom games, in which you can select any of the non-event game modes, and even add your own rule sets within certain parameters. You can mess around with the existing game modes and rebalance things to your liking, but when it comes to creating new game modes, your options are pretty limited. In theory, custom games solve this issue entirely by putting it into the player base's hands. The issue is that it fails miserably because it puts everything into the player base's hands. The amount of traffic going to the custom game lobbies is absolutely trivial compared to the other tabs. The listings are absolutely flooded with garbage like Widow Headshot only, I see you move you die bullshit,
and sexy voice chat roleplay and chill 18 plus only best skin wins contest.
My point is that hardly anyone uses the feature for its intended purpose of providing alternative game modes when they're off the arcade rotation. I can't fucking fill a lobby for Capture the Flag to save my life because it just gets buried under all this fucking trash. It's fine for when you're organizing a pickup game with friends, but here's the thing, Blizzard. Sometimes I can't get 11 of my fucking friends to all agree to play Capture the Flag at 3 in the goddamn morning. Hard to believe, but it's true. I want to press a button and enter a fucking queue for the game mode of my choice. It should not be my responsibility to fill a lobby and keep it filled just because you're worried someone's going to quit the game over a 3-minute queue time. Games like Dota 2 offer the player the ability to search for any game mode they want and check off their own modifiers. If the wait time is longer because they signed up for a super niche game type, that's on them, and everyone understands that. Another thing Blizzard loves to do is limit a game mode to a specific map, like Chateau Deathmatch or Petra Deathmatch over just standard FFA. I understand that initially some people only wanted to play Deathmatch on maps specifically designed for it, but nowadays people are complaining more about these artificial restrictions and the lack of variety. Map-locked modes are an increase in fake variety of game modes over real variety in the game modes themselves. Most shooters let you vote on the next map, and even pick a few preferences for maps you want to see the most of, or maps you don't want to see at all. But for some reason, Blizzard doesn't want to give the players that kind of control over their play experience. Probably because if they did, they'd realize that nobody would fucking play Temple of Anubis if they were actually given the choice to. These customization options that are standard in most other games are simply absent in Overwatch, because the developers can't accept that not all content will appeal to everyone, and that some of their maps or modes just might be flat out unpopular. So everything is randomized so they don't have to deal with that. And speaking of randomized, let's talk about the mystery modes. Mystery Duel, Mystery Deathmatch, and Mystery Heroes. These modes often take up precious arcade slots, and it ticks me off as someone who more often than not wants to play specific modes with specific heroes, and doesn't like that the lack of ult charge carryover after death makes these modes a snowball fest and an uphill battle to accomplish anything. And speaking of taking up precious arcade slots, let's talk about events. Every event is guaranteed to take up at least 2 of the 5 slots for 3 solid weeks, whether you like it or not. And since one of the slots is always going to be fucking Mystery Heroes, that leaves 2 slots that might actually have modes you want to play. So how do you fix this? Well, first off, Make event modes their own fucking tab. There's no reason to limit arcade variety because of them. Considering the archive event PvE modes offer queues for multiple difficulty levels, I'm not going to accept queue splitting as a valid reason not to do this. Next, make all non-event modes permanent fixtures in the arcade listing with toggleable alternatives. Here's how I would lay it out. One button would be for duels. Pressing it would give you the option to either queue for mystery duel or limited duel. Another would be for capture the flag, with options for normal CTF or perhaps a mystery variant that doesn't actually exist at the moment. And then a button for free-for-all deathmatch, including options for a mystery variant and possibly other modifiers Blizzard could come up with. Then another for team deathmatch, again with the corresponding mystery variant as an option you can toggle. Then one last one for elimination, where the player can choose from a list of either 3v3, 6v6, as well as toggles for both mystery variant and whether they want to play by lockout rule set or not. The rest of the modes don't really fit into specific categories and should just have their own buttons. Mystery heroes, low gravity, total mayhem, and no limits, in addition to any other future modes Blizzard adds that don't fall into a specific category. Ideally, all of these modes would have a map preference option that would increase your chances of getting onto preferred maps and eliminating the chance to get onto maps you've selected to ban. Strictly speaking, this isn't splitting the queue. Everyone's in the same player pool, it's just the system has to account for preferences when applicable. Again, these are options that other games, with far less players than Overwatch, already provide without issue. Another concept I want to run by you is a Quick Play Plus tab, which could incorporate some of the more grounded arcade modes into the rotation to increase variety even further, possibly with a drop-down list of mode preferences as well. The modes I would include in this mode to supplement the normal quick play matches would be free-for-all deathmatch, team deathmatch, capture the flag, and 6v6 lockout with no mystery variants. This would greatly increase the variety of the average play session, and I truly believe users would flock to such a tab, and you can still have the normal quick play tab for those who want a strictly comp-light experience. The last thing I want to address is the weekly arcade loot boxes. Everyone and their mother has pointed this out, but if the purpose of the arcade is to be more casual, why are the boxes tied to wins and not just played matches? It makes the arcade environment ironically way more tryhard than quick play, since everyone's trying to get their weekly wins for those bonus loot boxes. It should be quick play where this tryharding is incentivized, right? So that would be another thing I would like to see changed. Either change the arcade boxes to matches finished instead of wins, or move the weekly boxes to quick play. It's high time this misalignment of priorities was corrected. In 2019, the thing Blizzard needs to address the most is simply the speed at which the new content is delivered. They have invested so much time and money into external things like the Overwatch League, but if the game they're advertising doesn't change that much from season to season, it's kind of all for naught. This isn't entitlement, it's simply a fact. The game desperately needs more heroes, specifically alternatives to competitive mainstays, and I'm just not sure the community will stick around if they address this at their established pace. Balance patches are not new content, and as far as gameplay is concerned, neither are cosmetics. Heroes, maps, and game modes. These are the things that both draw in new players and entice existing ones to stay. Blizzard says they stopped updating events to focus on quality of life features and improvements, but even those have been slow coming. If they want an easy way to make the game more appealing without cutting into their existing development, the ideas in this video would be a good start. Despite my cynicism, I truly love Overwatch, but I really hope the developers revamp the way the game modes are structured and continue to add fresh new ones down the line. I know for a fact that I'd certainly log in way more often if they were to do so, and I think many others would as well. Zeke Freak out. Ciao ciao for now.